All right. Well, Blades in the Dark takes place in a dark city. There's been a catastrophe, and the world is now covered in darkness, and the sun is just a tiny ember that barely brings a twilight's level worth of light to the noonday sky. And the rest of the time, it's even darker than that. Um, you are going to play a fledgling crew of some kind of criminal enterprise that takes on illicit jobs to improve their assets and status. Um, there's a I'm reading directly from the book here. You play scoundrels on the street of Doskvol, an industrial fantasy city. They're primitive electricity. Oh man, I need to practice blind dry reading. It's primitive electrical technology and a printing press, strange alchemy, and simple gunpowder weapons. Gameplay focuses on the moments of daring action during a job, with occasional flashbacks, and the downtime between each score, where you'll recover and pursue your own personal interests. So, as a gang, you guys are going to choose what type of criminals you are. Um, the kind of standard is thieves, people who steal things. Um, whether it is a smash and grab or a careful plot where you infiltrate unseen and get out with the goods. That's up to you. Um, whether you're stealing directly from people or if you're infiltrating. Alternatively, you could be breakers. Breakers are more like smash and grab, or the kind of people who demand protection money. You're going to smash things, break them. You don't care if you go to war. You are all about being as um, as tough as you want to be. You're the street thugs, basically, as an entire gang. Other crews that you could possibly want to do. And like, kind of the first thing we want to do is decide what kind of crew we want to have, because that'll tell us what we're doing. Um, Other crews you could be is a cult. You could be worshiping some strange forgotten god, um, and trying to spread that to other people and doing it outside of the law. You're not the good kind of religion, you could
We're
say.
kidnapping people so they'll do our religion.
Yeah, you kidnap people and sacrifice them to dark gods or force them to undergo brainwashing and become part of your religion. That kind of stuff. Uh, Hawkers, yes. Another crew type is hawkers. That's where you're trying to sell something. You have some kind of product that you are pushing, and you're trying to sell it to people. Um, then there are also smugglers, and that is where you have some type of contraband or illicit passenger, and you take them from one place to another place. And then whether you are doing it on somebody else's behalf or if you then sell it yourself, that's up to you. Um, you could be getting ghosts in and out of the city. You could be bringing in some type of weird drug or alternative source of ectoplasm, or whatever you want to smuggle. So they're all really interesting and fun. It all depends on what do you as a criminal organization want to do. So you can, if I didn't put the different playbooks for the crews up because I just copied this over from where I'm going to do a one shot where they're automatically going to be thieves. Um, but as smugglers, the main way you gain XP as a crew is smuggle contraband or passengers or other illicit transportation, or improve your smuggling routes, variety, quality, and novelty. And that's a way that you can tell that's the sort of things you would be doing as smugglers. As hawkers, you want to acquire product, attract customers, or covertly sell your contraband, or improve your quality, variety, or prestige of your product. That's how you'd want to gain XP as a hawker. That's the kind of stories you'd be telling there. As a cult, you would want to advance the agenda of your deity or embody its precepts, and improve the quality or quantity of your artifacts and supplications. That's the kind of things you would pursue as a cult. As breakers, you get XP for extorting victims with violence or threats, smash and grab for loot, and improve the quality and variety of your hunting grounds. So where you go to be able to smash and grab loot without I say without repercussions, but I mean without repercussions from other gangs saying, "Hey, that's where I'm supposed to be killing people." And
Does
finally,
without repercussion also include, well, they're dead, so they can't,
not exactly.
Ouch.
Because just because they're dead doesn't mean they can't get back to you. Because I'll come back to that point. The final crew, how you get XP for it, is thieves, and that is execute a profitable burglary, robbery, or other theft, and improve again the quality and variety of your hunting grounds. So the problem is in Doskvol, during that catastrophe I talked about that turned the sky dark and the sun into a tiny far-off cinder, someone also broke death. Death doesn't work like it's supposed to anymore. And when you die, if you do not burn the body, your soul will rise up as a spirit within 3 days. And if that, then your spirit will then go mad pretty much, in almost all circumstances. There are a couple of situations where that does not happen, but the longer you're a spirit, the more likely you are to go crazy. There's a small group, a loose organization of spirits called the Reconciled, who have managed to not go crazy and continue to not go crazy, but it's kind of a loose thread. Like, they're just barely holding on to their sanity. But for the most part, there is an entire group in the city, the Spirit Wardens. Their entire job as employees of the city of Doskvol is to find bodies that have died and burn them so they do not become ghosts. And there is another faction, which is the Death Crows, and they notify the Death Seeker Crows are magical crows, or maybe they're some weird artificial technology, but they specifically can tell immediately when someone dies, and a bell will ring in the city, and these Death Seeker crows fly out, literal crows, to the site of the body and draw the Spirit Wardens there to take care of the disposal. Killing someone almost always is a bad idea if you can avoid it, because it's going to draw heat down on your operation, and even if you were completely, absolutely quiet, you snuck in there and slit their throat when they're asleep, immediately, as soon as you do that, a bell rings in the city and the crows start flying. It's supernatural. You have to plan a lot ahead of time to be able to work around that or avoid it, because it is it's something that just happens. And it's important because you don't want a bunch of crazy mad spirits running around and killing people.
Well, plus, unless we do.
I mean, unless you do. I mean, if you want to go as like a weird cult, that's your deal. We could go that way too.
I like that.
I know in the microscope game we were playing, we were kind of leaning towards the idea of possibly being a weird cult. And I like that plan. Can you jump up here? Sorry. I'm just happy to have her back.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
So yeah, the first question is, what kind of crew do you guys want to be? What flavor of scum and villainy do you see yourselves?
I don't really have a preference. I'd like to play a bit of a physical character, like basically a duke, but more of a dark and broody type. But I didn't have to fight a lot. Like I prefer rather not to be a breaker.
Okay.
But anything that can allow, the dark and broody guy to step in whenever there needs to, be some protecting people or breaking some arms or whatever, then
I think that's definitely something that would come up in any crew.
Yeah, so I prefer not to be a breaker because it seems kind of like linear, but other than that, I don't really have a preference.
So yeah, I'm definitely drawn to the idea of doing occult. Perhaps primarily because of the microscope game we did, but also because I think that would be fun. But I'd totally be okay with doing thieves or smugglers as well.
Okay.
Like if that would flow better. And I know that being thieves is like the sort of the basic setting. So and we're all kind of new to this, so that would be okay. But
I can
I
run
think
anything
cool.
you want. I want to know what you guys want to play. Like, that's the way this works. It's pretty much any crew type you choose, you can run any job you want, but you're going to have better opportunities if the job you want matches the crew type you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, well, we're gonna play hawkers, and first thing we do is we're gonna go murder a bunch of people, and then that's not pursuing your goals of being hawkers, but you can totally do it. You're like, oh, well, we're gonna play smugglers, and the first thing that we do is we're gonna go steal a bunch of stuff, and that's not necessarily improving your goal as being a smuggler, unless then the next step is smuggling that stuff you stole to somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty much all about what you guys want to, what kind of crime do you want to commit?
What's it called in American?
So, did you have a preference, Mark?
I do have two things I like. First off, being Scientology would certainly be fun. But I also really like the smuggler idea, so I'm open for that as well.
Yeah, I think both of those could work. And thieves also sounds cool.
Okay, the crime we wanna do, decent exposure.
Where are we going with this?
Yeah. How do you make money from that? That's the question.
Well, somehow pays for distractions, do they?
Maybe. I'm sure there would be people who would pay to see.
Yeah, the right venue. That would work out.
That's another thing that...
But yeah, so we've got basically like 3 things on the table: thieves, smugglers, and cult.
Thieves, smugglers, and cult. Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about each of them. I'm gonna start with smugglers because I happen to be on that page. As smugglers, you're going to start off with some kind of vehicle at quality 1, and it's either a boat, a carriage, or something else that you can describe. You then get special ability for your cult, for your crew, that's the right word, which could be like part of the family, where your vehicle is part of the crew and starts out at quality 2 instead of 1, as well as gets certain benefits and drawbacks that makes it more unique. Reavers is another choice, where if you are in conflict aboard your vehicle, you gain potency for damage and speed. I guess I should explain a little bit about how the rolling system works here, now that we've got one of the key terms here. Anytime you want to do anything, you describe the action that you're doing, and that will fall into one of the 12 action words. So I've got a nice little handout, which I can show to everybody. And it says, it goes through all of the different actions that you can do. For example, most likely if you're going to be in a fight, you're probably going to be rolling skirmish, which is to brawl or wrestle, but you might be rolling prowl if you are sniping someone from far away, or backstabbing them, or hitting them with a blackjack. Or possibly you could be rolling hunt as well. So it depends on how you describe what you're doing, when it's going to fall into. And then based on what you're describing, I will tell you how difficult it is or how you're positioned to do that fictionally. So most of the time you're going to be in a risky position where there's a chance if you fail you could get hurt, and then or worse. But if you succeed, you succeed. Sometimes you're going to be in a really good position. So if you are sneaking up on someone who's distracted, you have a high quality weapon, and you're going to stab them in the back, and you know anatomy, you fictionally positioned yourself to be in a really good position here to hurt this guy. Maybe someone cast magical silence, and it's literally impossible for them to hear you. So, okay, you're in a controlled environment. The worst you can do is tip your hand without actually hurting them. They won't have a chance to react before you can get in there. But you could also be in a worse position. So if you're in the middle of a hand-to-hand combat with somebody, and then you are like, I'm going to backstab him, and I'm like, you guys are punching each other right in the face. How is that a backstab? So that's going to be pretty desperate. And each time, it also, if you're in a good position, you could gain potency, which means that you'll have an increased effect, or you could be hindered and have a reduced effect. So if you're trying to fight somebody and you're like, I'm going to backstab him, I'm like, all right, that's pretty risky, and you're going to have reduced effect because you don't have a good angle of attack. But if you still have your dagger and you're like, well, I'm going to stab him between his second and third rib, you're face to face with him, you're going to have a better chance of actually succeeding on that roll to do a specific amount of damage, to do an increased damage rather than a backstab.
Makes sense.
So
otherwise you have to say, look over there! Huh?
Also, there are certain situations where the effect is going to be reduced so far that even if you succeed, you do no damage. You do nothing. Like, if you're like, I'm going to take my sword and I'm going to knock down this wooden tower, or, this brick tower. Like, okay, you can try, but no matter how hard you hit with your sword on these bricks, you're not going to knock the tower down, So, yeah, there's definitely certain situations where it's going to be literally impossible to proceed, but I'll tell you that before you try. But if instead you're like, I rig up some explosives to bring down this tower, okay, now you're rolling wreck, and that's a possibility, Okay, so Actually, you know what? Let me just go ahead and add the sheets here for the crew sheets, so we can all look at them together.
Okay.
And just gonna take me a second here. While you guys are talking about that, while I'm doing that, why don't you guys talk amongst yourselves about what you might want to do? If you look on the handouts, there's a thing that says playbooks. That'll show you all of the different character classes there are, the different playbooks. You can look through them and see if there's any that call out to you as far as what character you might want to play.
Yeah, so I definitely know that I want to play a physical character. I'm not sure if I want to play like a more of a sharpshooter or more of a melee brawler, but something.
So that's probably either a hound or a cutter. Potentially, if you wanted to be like a backstabber, that would be a lurk, but that doesn't sound like what you're describing. So if you're looking at firearms as your primary weapon, you're probably a hound. If you're looking at like your fists or a blade as your primary weapon, you're probably a cutter. If you want to look at both of those, then you can kind of see the differences there.
Lurks are cool as well. Do the hound or the cutter have any other skills aside from fighting either ranged or melee?
Yes. If you open up the sheets, you'll see they have special abilities. So you can choose one of the special abilities. It does not have to be in order. So, for example, a hound has sharpshooter, which is kind of the default when you think of a hound. Then, if you perform a precision shooting from extremely long range, or you can perform precision shooting from extremely long range, basically you're a sniper, and you can quickly draw and reload your weapons. So anytime when you need to quickly draw or you need to reload, you're going to be faster than anybody else, and your ranged attacks gain potency. Just, you're that good of a shot. If you're shooting with guns, you're better at it. But you could, instead of taking that, you could be a ghost hunter and have a hunting pet, like a trained dog that is imbued with spiritual energy and gets a bonus for fighting against supernatural beings. Or you can be vengeful, and anytime you take a consequence from an enemy, even if you resist it, so if you face the consequence, even if you shrug it off, you get a bonus die to next time you fight that enemy. So it's got a couple of different powers that you can choose from.
And whispers are the ones that like deal with spirits, right?
Whispers have magic abilities, and they are so they are the kind of people that hold communion with the supernatural, whether that is devils or demons or ghosts or vampires, or the ancient gods. They are people who are directly in tune with the spirit field, and are most likely to know about supernatural shenanigans that are going down.
Okay. Yeah, my initial feeling is whisper. But Mark, did you have? Were you leaning in towards anything in particular? Mark?
Sorry, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, were you leaning towards anything in particular?
I think Whisper is interesting as well as Lurker. I would like to play something bit of mad scientist kind of guy.
Leech is also good for mad scientist.
Okay.
Just so you're aware. Leeches can also be slightly on the occult side. They are a saboteur and a tinker, but they're also the person who's going to be an alchemist or an artificer. They can also have venomous as a trait, which they choose a drug or poison to which they are immune, and they can secrete that substance from their skin or saliva or exhale it as a vapor.
Oh, wow.
That sounds ridiculously strong.
Potentially. Or you can be a physicker and actually be able to help heal your teammates. Or you can be able to ghost ward to either call or repel spirits. Lots of pretty cool powers that a leech has.
Okay.
Also, good. I've got the 3 character sheets for smugglers, thieves, and cult up. If you guys want to take a look at them, see what we might want to play. We should all look at the same one. What do you guys want to look at first?
Do the smugglers.
All right. So I described some of the powers you guys already.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Yeah.
Hold on. How about now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to put it in you guys' journals.
Yeah, it's one of those Roll20 fiddly bits.
I know. Okay. So, and you can see there's a little map, a claims map. Basically, you guys start off with a layer that will describe where it is, and from there, the things that branch off of that are the easiest way to expand your crew. If you claim turf, if you make a claim and it's not directly linked to something you already own, it's going to be harder for you to gain and harder for you to maintain. So that's just something to keep in mind. So if there's something you are interested in getting to faster, you can always try to just jump there, but be warned, it's probably going to be harder.
Okay, cool. I think that if we do either or if we do smugglers, I would like to do smuggling ghosts or something. Other than that, I'm not particularly interested in smuggling.
Cool. Yeah, one of the powers that you can have as a smuggler is Ghost Passage. From harsh experience or occult ritual, all crew members become immune to possession by spirits, but may choose to carry a second ghost within their body. You'd be able to smuggle ghosts out of the city, into parties, into wherever, and you would not be able to be maliciously possessed. Which is actually pretty powerful, because getting possessed kind of blows.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at cult, because everyone seems kind of interested in the weird side of things.
Quite tempting.
as a cult, you'll start off with cohorts at rank quality 1 that are adepts. Those are people who are hold on, let me get to the right page here. Basically, they're knowledgeable in a certain... Scholars, tinkers, occultists, or chemists. So whether it is a single scholar or a group of occultists that just fill out your circle in your witch coven or what have you, that's up to you guys, because basically you can either have a gang or a specialist with that adept, and basically a specialist is going to be of equal power to the gang as far as strength goes, for the most part.
Okay. Sorry.
And then you get to choose one of the cult abilities.
Oh, could you pull up the thing for cult? Okay, cool.
Sorry, I thought I'd already done that. I apologize.
No, no worries.
You also get to
And
name
I'm
deity.
fighting with the stream. I think it's doing something weird.
Uh-oh. Don't fight with the stream.
I like the Bound in Darkness one, that's cool. Oh, Sealed in Blood. Wow.
I like Glory Incarnate.
Veteran.
Oh my goodness. That'll be fun. I can't see the stream because my internet is spazzing out. So I don't know.
I think it may be the Twitch, but I'm working on it.
I think cults would be fun. Let's see what thieves do.
So yeah, let's look at thieves. So as a thief, you start off with a hidden layer instead of a publicly known one, and then one of the specials.
So the gang playbook is that what the type of group is called?
There's thieves, cult, and smugglers.
Yeah, there's not a folder for them. They're just at the very top. When I hit this button, it's supposed to pop up in your faces.
Okay, OBS, this is a really poor time to...
Did it work? Did it pop up in your face?
I don't know, I just opened it.
Okay, so
If you already have it open, it won't reopen it for you, but thieves have some pretty interesting abilities as well.
Yeah.
I kind of like Patron. Whenever you advance in tier, it costs half the coin it normally would. Like, somebody's power leveling you.
not sure if I have a preference. Mark or Brad, do you?
I'm sorry, between the different gang types, or okay. I think I'm feeling cult, but I'd be flexible.
Yeah, I like cult as well.
I especially
Cool.
like the bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. Means we can basically do crazy stuff to get a reputation. I mean, sure, we'll get a reputation as crazy people if we do something.
Of course, you're gonna
Sounds
get a
like something
reputation
fun
as
to work
crazy
on.
people anyway. So,
Let's do
yeah.
cult then. So the cult special abilities to one together.
So sorry, what was that about the cult special ability?
Do we does each of us choose one for ourselves, or do we choose one together?
You take
for the
one
cult?
together as the group. So as a group, you get to pick what special ability does this cult have. And it seemed I was going to suggest cult if you guys were still on the fence, because it seemed like they were the most abilities that you guys were interested in for being a cult than anything else. And so you get to start with one, but eventually you'll get to grow your cult and get more. So
I can't see you guys
definitely.
anymore.
We can't see
we
you
can't
either.
see you. Yeah, I just noticed your camera went away.
Trying to reload. Anyway, go on.
All right, so
I really like Bend in Darkness. Chosen is nice too. Bend in Darkness Saints. Well, what does you may use teamwork mean?
Sorry, I was trying to bring up the game on my phone so I could participate in chat, and dang it, it did it again.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's a problem on your side, sadly. I think that Twitch is...
Yeah, it says you're offline now. Well, that's great. Anyway,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. What great timing.
I was trying to do a thing. Perfect. So when you perform a group action, and that should be on one of these handouts that I did. Which one was it? Aha, yes. There we go. Play reference 1. So there are 4 different types of teamwork, and specifically a group action is does it say teamwork? Yeah, you do any of these 4. So assist is you just take 1 stress and you can just give a die to somebody else, but if they fuck up, you can take consequences from it as well. So then it's lead a group action, which is instead of each of you rolling individually for, like, say you're trying to chase somebody down. You guys are trying to catch somebody that's running away from you. Instead of all 3 of you rolling separately and whoever rolls best catches the guy, one of you says, "Come on, everybody get him." And then you're leading the group action. All 3 of you roll, and you just, as a group, take whatever the best roll is. And everybody succeeds in catching him, all three of you dogpile the guy, assuming you succeed. But whoever initiated that and led the group action has to take stress if somebody fails. And so in relation to the Bound in Darkness, that means you can be halfway across town and say, mentally through this psychic bond of darkness, get him, everybody. And then everybody rolls. You obviously can't personally catch him, but as long as somebody succeeds, then the gang has caught him.
I like the idea of being able to protect someone from long range. Seems really cool.
So you can face danger for a teammate, step in front of a consequence in their place, and roll to resist as normal if you wish. So that one's going to be a little bit tricky. So if you're halfway across town and somebody fires a gun and you're like, I'm going to step in front of that bullet from across town, that's not necessarily going to work.
Okay.
But we might say that a small, a small fissure in reality opens up and the bullet redirects to you instead. Or we'll figure it out. And then, of course, finally is setup, where you can set up another character. Basically, if you want to help somebody make a knowledge roll, then you can set them up by having asked around town first, or they're trying to get information out of somebody and they're trying to intimidate them, and you can set them up by having tortured them first. Or something probably not that dark.
Well.
So yeah, those are the 4 types of teamwork actions, and with Bound in Darkness, then you can use those actions even if you're not near each other in any way. But that means that if you're using the assist to take a stress to add a die, you actually have to take 2 stress, because 1 for not being there and 1 for assisting in the first place. So most of the time for the other 3, it's only going to cost you 1 stress, but specifically just giving them a free die is going to cost you 2. Okay. But a free die is pretty powerful, so taking a stress is worth it. Also, I suggest everybody uses as much stress as they can. Stress works very differently in Blades than it does in Fate. So, basically, you can take stress. You can take up to 9 stress. If you take 9 stress, then